Dreams are actually astral barometers that measure the intensity of your waking life, and Joe Bandel's latest work, Oak Matrix Unleashed, argues that if you feel drained in the morning, it's not just a bad night's sleep, it's a direct reflection of how you're managing your energy during the day. This idea that we can fuel our nighttime insights by living more intensely is central to Chapter 29, which focuses on empowering our lives through what Bandel calls nighttime insights.
It really flips the script on how we view rest. Most people see sleep as a passive recovery, like plugging a phone into a wall. But Bandel presents this unified field theory where sleep is a dynamic exchange. He uses this vivid metaphor of the oak tree, which absorbs sunlight during the day to fuel root growth at night. The daytime is for gathering and containing energy. That's the feminine, grounding effort, while the night is for the masculine, creative release in the dream state. It's a rhythmic duality he calls a loving embrace.
The loving embrace concept is interesting because it moves away from the idea that these forces are in conflict. He's suggesting that if you want those vivid, empowering dreams where you feel invincible, you actually have to drain yourself during the day. You have to push your limits. If you're just coasting, he says your dreams become weak and fragmented. So the nightmare or the dull dream isn't a random glitch. It's a signal that your energy development is stalling.
Exactly, and he gets very specific about how this energy flows through what he calls astral cords. These aren't just metaphors. In Bandel's framework, they're magnetic flux lines that link us to people, issues, or even global energies. When you dream, you're either creating or severing these cords. It's like a spiritual maintenance check. If you've ever had a dream about someone and felt a shift in your relationship with them the next day, Bandel would argue you were actually engaged in a literal energy transfer through those cords.
That sounds like a huge responsibility for the subconscious. He mentions in his essay, Dreams, that these images aren't just private movies inside our skulls. They're active exchanges of vitality. He even suggests that if you dream of a friend, a part of their essence might be participating in that field. That moves dreaming from simple psychology into a collaborative astral space. It makes you wonder how much we're influencing each other while we sleep.
It definitely raises the stakes. According to Bandel's research, which often draws from early 20th century German horror and metaphysical writers like Hans Heinz Ewers, these interactions can leave one person energized and the other subtly drained. The outcome of the dream determines who wins the transfer of magnetic energy. It sounds like something out of a sci-fi novel, but he frames it as a natural hydraulic flow within a shared magnetic field. The dream world is inductive, meaning it generates current through movement and change.
So if the dream world is the engine room of reality, how do we actually read the gauges? Bandel is very clear that there's no universal dictionary for dream symbols. He rejects the idea that a snake always means betrayal. Instead, he insists we have to decode our own unique symbolic code. A symbol is a personal language between you and your inner self. If a snake represents renewal for you because of a past experience, that's the definition you must use to understand the energy signaled in the dream.
Right, it's about auditing your own attention. He argues that by journaling these symbols and sharing them, or even performing rituals to release specific chords, we can start to confront weaknesses before they manifest physically. It's proactive empowerment. He calls this astral work. You're essentially debugging your energy system while you're asleep, so that when you wake up, you're not just rested, you're structurally sound.
But isn't there a risk of becoming obsessed with the night and ignoring the day? Bandel seems to anticipate this by emphasizing intense living. You can't just wait for the dreams to fix you. You have to provide the voltage during the day. That means workouts, taking risks, learning new things. Basically, as he puts it, draining your vitality through effort to make room for the recharge. It's the sponge method he mentions in other chapters. You have to squeeze out the old, dirty water to absorb something fresh.
It's a cycle of total release and deep absorption. If you never push yourself to that point of exhaustion, the sponge of your energy system stays stagnant. But if you live intensely, you create a vacuum that the astral world rushes to fill at night. This is where he ties it back to the OAK matrix, his unified field theory. He believes that as we master these cycles, our awareness actually becomes more densely packed into our physical bodies. We become more present, more charismatic, and more alive because we're drawing on that surplus from the magnetic realms.
It's a radical departure from the modern wellness industry's focus on moderation and avoiding burnout at all costs. Bandel is essentially saying that burnout happens because we're not cycling correctly, not because we're doing too much. We're holding on to psychic debris instead of releasing it. The goal isn't to stay comfortable, it's to become a vibrant force of nature, just like the oak tree he constantly references.
And the oak tree isn't just a symbol for strength, it's a model for connectivity. In chapter 27, he talks about the mycorrhizal network of shared energies. Just like trees in a forest are connected by underground fungi, our individual trunks of awareness are connected to a massive collective web. When you dream, you're navigating that web. The feminine aspect is your personal focus that keeps you from being overwhelmed, while the masculine flow is the collective energy itself. You need both to remain functional in this astral space.
He also touches on the idea of historical current. He suggests that when enough people are dreaming with a similar intensity or focus, it can actually impel major historical events. That's a massive claim. It implies that our private nighttime insights are actually the building blocks of the physical future. If we're all dreaming of empowerment, we're collectively strengthening the grid of our reality.
It makes you look at your invincible dreams in a whole new light. They aren't just ego boosts, they're evidence that you're aligned with that generative current. Conversely, if you're stuck in a nightmare of loss, it's a diagnostic tool. It's showing you where you're leaking energy or where an astral cord is dragging you down. Bandel's advice is to face those symbols directly. If you're being chased by a shadow, you're engaged in a real energy exchange. If you turn and face it, you're reclaiming that power.
It really comes down to the idea that duality isn't war. We've been conditioned to see the self versus the world or day versus night as a conflict. But Bandel's loving embrace framework says they are partners. The effort of the day makes the insight of the night possible, and the insight of the night empowers the effort of the day. It's a closed loop of growth.
To really put this into practice, he suggests intensity booster exercises. These aren't just physical workouts, they're mental and emotional pushes. It could be having that difficult conversation you've been avoiding or finally starting that project that scares you. The point is to use up your current reserves. The more you give to the day, the more the womb of creation, his term for the deep root energy, can provide during the night.
It sounds like a very active way to live. No more drifting through the day and hoping for a good night's sleep. You're essentially the architect of your own dream fuel. And the reward isn't just a nice dream. It's a physical reality that feels more vibrant because you've integrated those astral insights. You wake up with that invincible feeling because you actually did the work to earn it.
Exactly. Bandel's philosophy in Oak Matrix Unleashed is all about moving from a state of being managed by your circumstances to a state of mastery. By understanding that your dreams are your astral barometer, you stop being a victim of your moods or your fatigue. You start seeing them as data. If the barometer is low, you live more intensely. If the cords are tangled, you perform the maintenance. It's a technical, even scientific approach to the most mystical part of our lives.
The language he uses, terms like tank current and magnetic flux lines, really grounds these metaphysical concepts in something that feels tangible. It's not just vibes, it's circuitry. It reminds me of his background in translating those dark German authors who were obsessed with the hidden mechanics of the soul. He's taking that dark curiosity and turning it into a manual for empowerment.
And he's doing it without the usual academic jargon or fluffy New Age promises. It's direct. It's about results. If your life is better, the theory works. If you feel more magnetic and charismatic, you've successfully tapped into that surplus energy. He's inviting us to trust the cycle, to empty the vessel during the day so it can be filled with something far more powerful at night.
It really changes the way I'll think about my alarm clock tomorrow morning. Instead of just waking up, I'll be checking my barometer. Did I fuel my dreams yesterday? Am I starting the day with a full tank, or am I leaking energy through old cords? It's a level of awareness that most of us just don't have.
It's about being an active participant in your own evolution. As Bandel says, the grove is patient and the current will flow as it will, but it's up to us to walk into that clearing and hold the light steady. Whether you're decoding a personal symbol or severing an old astral link, you're contributing to the coherence of the entire system. It's personal work that has a global impact.
We've covered a lot of ground today, from the hydraulic flow of the dream state to the personal language of our inner selves. The big takeaway is that our nighttime insights are the key to a happier, more empowered life, but only if we're brave enough to live intensely during the day. If you found these insights helpful for your own growth, consider sharing this episode with someone who might be looking for a new way to fuel their dreams.